This is Teachers Talk Radio, and you are listening live. Tune in live at ttradio.org, or to join in the conversation, download the Podbean app and search Teachers Talk Radio. Follow the hashtag TTRadio. Tune in, talk it out with Teachers Talk Radio.
Good evening, it's Lucy Neuburger here. I can't believe I've been allowed back for a second show, but I have. And this evening, we're going to be talking about teacher dating lives. My guest this evening, once she can get into the studio, which I think she's having slight technical difficulties, but we'll give her a few minutes, is Emily West, and she is going to... When we had a chat earlier, she was very keen to talk about the weird and wonderful world of teacher dating lives. So I'm sure this is going to be fabulously entertaining. But before we get into that, I'd like to extend some thanks to those of you who tuned in last week to my first show. It was lovely to have you all there supporting me and allowing me to ease myself in. I know that it took a good few minutes, but once we were on board and everything worked, it seemed like it went well. So that was really, really good. If you want to listen to that first show again, of course, you can access it via the Podbean app or Spotify should you want to. So what's been going on in the last week since I was last with you? Well, the surf lessons have continued. I'd like to say have I made progress? Yes, a little bit, although I went to a particular beach, when was it? Sunday. And to say that we got bashed about would be an understatement. I only ended up in the very, very shallow water because you just kept getting bashed. It felt like you were in a washing machine, and I could still hear the sea in my ears about 2 hours later. So that was interesting. I mean, I'm getting there. I don't think I'm in any danger of doing anything spectacular anytime soon, but I'm sticking with it. I'm demonstrating perseverance, and I think that it's important as teachers that we do this so that when we tell stories to children and when we're in the classroom teaching, that we have anecdotes and we have our own real life experience to draw on in order to demonstrate a point about sticking with something. What else has gone on? I went to a birthday party this week, which was great fun. It was lovely. It was all women, which was great. And the host is one of these wonderful people who really embraces female friendship. And so not only was this birthday party a celebration of her, as it should be, it was also a celebration of female friendship, which was absolutely lovely. And the vast majority of us are actually international school teachers. So it was great to get together, and a lot of us had sort of not crossed paths over the summer because we'd been away or been all over the place. So it was delightful to be able to chat and have a glass of wine and just really catch up and enjoy ourselves. So that's been my week. I shan't go on too much about that. What I do want to bring back this week, and hopefully some more of you will engage with, is the What You're Having for Dinner, a little featurette that I tried to get off the ground last week with a little bit of success, but I think I can do better, and I think we can do better. So let's get involved with that. So what I want to know throughout the show, and indeed after, is what you're having for dinner, because we're at the time of day, sort of 6, just after, where I don't know about you, but I'm certainly thinking about what I'm going to eat. So let me know. I'm drawing my inspiration at the moment from a chef called Anna Jones, who has written 2 cookbooks, and she kind of leans towards the more sort of vegetarian type food. And well, yes, mostly vegetarian and vegan, actually. And although I don't subscribe fully to either of those lifestyles, the recipes are fabulous. And I'm leaning towards, because it's dare I say it, it's quite warm still here in Portugal. And again, I'm aware that I shouldn't go on too much about the weather, because I know one of my friends and one of my colleagues has actually gone back to the UK this week. She's from York originally. And she sent us a picture of her just sort of staring out the window at the rain, which was, well, it was quite comical for us sitting here. But of course, for those of you living it and trying to enjoy what's left of your summer, because I know for some of you, you're still on holiday, and it's creeping towards the end now for sure. So trying to get outside whilst there is a break in the weather. Please let me know sort of what you're doing and what you're getting up to, and making sure that you're not feeling guilty about enjoying yourselves, remembering what we talked about last week. But I digress. So yes, please tell me what you're eating. Please tell me what's for dinner, because I'm forever looking for inspiration, as you well know. And I will, if I remember before I scoff my dinner this evening, I will remember to try and post you a picture, whether it looks good or not. I'm actually back home in my own kitchen this week as well, because last week my first show actually came from my friend's apartment where I was dog sitting. So it's quite nice to be back in my own little space, and hopefully we'll get away without any random noise disturbances like last week. I had musicians, I had all sorts of things going on. So hopefully we'll get through this with no interruptions, which get through this. Make it sound like an ordeal. It's definitely not an ordeal. It's actually a real pleasure to be here with you, having a lovely time. Ooh, HB History just said to me, I'm having meatballs with tomato sauce and chili later, all homemade. Sounds absolutely fantastic. Is that with pasta or rice? Let me know, because, ooh, spaghetti, fantastic. I've also got Tom laughing at me, saying that I'm laughing at the fact that I've called my show an ordeal. Hopefully it's not an ordeal. Hopefully we do enjoy ourselves. I have a feeling this evening is going to be a good laugh, and certainly with my guest on standby, who I think is here somewhere, but hopefully once we're a bit more settled and a bit more sorted, she will make herself visible. So on to the juicy stuff. Okay, so I suppose I should tell you really how this whole show this evening came about. And it's so I get on with my parents very, very well. I should preface this before I launch into the explanation of where the thought process for this show came from this evening, because this wasn't the original plan. So yes, I love and get on with my parents very, very well. They're great, wonderful people. They have seen me through many ups and downs in my life, including university, teacher training, which I eventually landed on. It wasn't, again, it was something I got to a bit later on rather than as my first choice. But they are very patient, very loving, great people. However, these are also the same people that like to ring me up periodically and talk to me about my dating life, which seems to be their current favorite subject. And it winds me up to no end. And I try and keep calm about it, and I try and not revert sort of teenage mode of kind of, nope, don't want to talk about it. Instead, I try and take a more mature approach, although they probably disagree. But the line that comes from my mum quite regularly is, oh, you seem lonely to me, Lucy. Wouldn't you be happier if you were with somebody? And I can feel an almost audible gasp coming from the people around me. And she means it lovingly. I think she just wants me to be happy. And I think she has this, as I'm sure many parents do, have this idea of sort of a romantic fairy tale for their children. And my parents are no different. But when you kind of get this repeatedly over and over and over again, it does become a little wearing, and it does get a little bit, oh gosh, really. And certainly, I mean, I'm in my 30s now. A lot of my friends are married with children. And so perhaps the woman or the men in the audience might disagree. And there's that pressure, but more so as a woman, you know, are you going to settle there? Is that down? Are you going to find some individual sort of? Are you going to do the things that? Are you going to think? I phrase this: are use that loosely. Make the choice of not getting married and not having children, and those choices are absolutely fine as well. And I suppose that I wanted to throw out there this evening kind of why teacher dating is so complicated. I mean, dating is complicated, full stop. Particularly, COVID certainly did not help the situation for those of us that are still out there in the dating jungle. It did not. I mean, it's already a minefield. It's already fraught with danger, as I'm sure Em will attest to once we are chatting. But it's honestly, I mean, the difficulty was there before COVID, and then of course during COVID, well, it all ground to a standstill, really. Apart from, there was a great initiative which I know has been talked about before on other host shows, and I know is actually very popular with our hosts and with actually my guest, who I'm going to speak to as well, which is EduDate, which was a wonderful initiative started by the lovely Tom Rogers, which actually brought teachers together. And you're able to video chat, but only for 10 minutes. And based on that, you can decide who you'd like to talk to again. It was like teacher speed dating. And to be honest, it actually sustained me through that first lockdown, believe it or not. It was great. And there are still people from EduDate that I am in contact with. Obviously, now living in Portugal, it was never going to develop into anything else, sadly. But the fact that EduDate connected people and still is connecting people and bringing people together is fantastic. And actually, teacher relationships and how we interact with one another has been a pretty hot topic this week across Teachers Talk Radio. Some examples of that. On Saturday, Tom Hopkins-Burke did a wonderful show about workplace romance. And even within that show, despite it was so positive and so uplifting, he also alluded to the fact that it's difficult for teachers to actually make time to date. So I think this is something else that we're going to discuss this evening as well, is where does that fit in amongst everything else that we have to do? So if you would like to listen again to Tom, then please do. You can either do that through Podbean or Spotify. And another show this week that I also personally identified with was Rebecca Ricketts' show yesterday afternoon. And she was talking about maintaining relationships as a whole as an international teacher, as an expat teacher, and how it's important to not only forge new relationships and new friendships in amongst your colleagues and people in the country that you're living in, but also maintaining those friendships at home, which is very difficult to do. So again, it was interesting to hear that. And of course, you can listen again to her show at your leisure. She also mentioned the fact that that dating is tricky, and certainly she also was very supportive of EduDate as well. So that is the kind of preamble to today's show. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play an advert, and then hopefully Em West, my guest, will be on the other end of the line. I think she's trying to call in at the moment, but if she just holds fire for a minute, hopefully we can get her in and start chatting post advert. So let's make sure we can do that.
Creative Resources, made for teachers by teachers. At Creative Resources, we've been rethinking what a classroom can be. We've created a huge range of more than 2,500 original and exciting resources that span across more than 15 different subject areas. Whether you're looking for primary or secondary level resources, careers options, PSHE, arts or humanities, Creative Resources have the resources for you. We offer full curriculum packages and unique, challenging escape rooms themed on topics such as Shakespeare, Tudors, and fractions. We have quizzes, task cards, Tarsier puzzles, and lots more. Better still, more than 100 resources can be accessed for free. Just visit our website, www.CRE8TIVEresources.com. You can get 10% off any order you make on our website by using the discount code TT Radio. Creative Resources, made for teachers by teachers. Every teacher loves stationery, right? Imagine getting a selection of fun, beautiful and unique stationery items designed and selected especially for teachers, delivered through your door every month. You need to check out teacherslovestationery.club.
I'm always so excited when the box arrives. It's such a treat.
My Teachers Love Stationery Club box is just a little treat to myself every month.
It's always full of delightful and surprising items, including some really good quality stationery brands like Faber-Castell and Stabilo.
And because you never know what you're going to get, it makes it even more fun and special when you get it.
It feels really great to be supporting a family business that's run by real teachers. I can't help feeling like they just know what I'm going to enjoy using stationery-wise better than I do myself.
Visit teacherslovestationery.club and enter the code TT Radio when you buy your first stationery box to save £2 today. teacherslovestationery.club. Introducing the Leadership Masterclass series by Diana Osagi. Learn how to ditch your fears and develop your leadership confidence. How to deal with difficult colleagues. How to thrive when you lead in a challenging environment. And how to get colleagues to buy into your vision. Join Diana for her online leadership masterclasses starting on the 10th of July and running all the way through the summer. These sessions are the perfect way to prepare and refresh for the next academic year and beyond. Book your place at courageousleadership.co.uk/events now. The first 50 leaders to sign up get an additional free mini coaching session with Diana herself. Don't miss this. Courageous Leadership Masterclasses at courageousleadership.co.uk/events.
Oh, good. I remember to take myself off mute, which is always helpful before you launch into the next part of your show. Actually, funnily enough, before I came on air this evening, I was having a lovely little solo dance party, dancing around my flat. And I've got these fantastic noise cancelling headphones. So it's basically like having a silent disco. And there I was dancing away, having a lovely time. And my best friend over in the UK texted me saying, oh, how do I listen to the show this evening? And I looked at the time and I thought, oh, you're on the radio in 15 minutes, Lucy, so better get cracking. So Eleni, thank you for that early. You saved me from what could have been a potential late start. And I hope that you are listening and enjoying the show. So right now, I'm going to bring on my guest. I think it is high time to do so. Hopefully, she is waiting in the wings for us to get started, really. So West, are you there? Can you call in? Can you hear me? Let's see if she can get in. Oh, here we go. Wonderful. West, can you hear me?
Well, I can hear me.
Oh, I can.
You can hear me too. Well, that's fine then. Then we're working. Thank God.
Fantastic. Honestly, this evening has already been fraught with technical difficulty. So I'm glad you are there and that we can hear you loud and clear. So before we proceed any further, can you please introduce yourself? Because I always believe in guests introducing themselves. They tend to do a far better job than I do. So go ahead.
Sure, yeah. Well, so I'm Em. I've been teaching for 15 years. Sometimes I wonder how, but I have been. I'm a PE teacher. I've pretty much done every middle leadership job going. When you look back at your CV, I think it's always a good thing to do, and it reminds you of all the things you've actually done, and you're really genuinely quite good at. So I'm UK based. I'm down in the south, and I have my little dog Flo, who unfortunately, as you were saying earlier, you were interrupted last week. We may be interrupted at some point to throw a ball or do something, but hopefully she's going to go and eat her dinner and chill, so that will be good. On that note, I would add that I've had my dinner. I had a steak and waffles this evening, which I think is a bit of a mega mix.
Fabulous.
So that's what I'm having. No, nothing too homemade, unfortunately. More of a oven job. But there you go.
Well, sometimes that is necessary, and I'm fairly sure that we will not judge. And I'm sure at some point there is a show in the mix that can be centered around what us teachers eat and our nutrition, because mine tends to go up and down. But that's a discussion for another day. So. You very kindly joined me this evening after I did the awkward thing of sliding into your DMs like a little bit of a weirdo. And to your credit, you were very, very good about it. You didn't send me on my merry way. You said, you know what, I will get involved. Sure, why not? So I do feel
from one teacher to another, we'll help each other out.
So I do feel I railroaded you into this a little bit. But given the chat we had earlier today, you seem very, very up for this conversation. And I think we're going to have a wonderful time.
Well, I think we've certainly had some experiences. So, why not, hey? And I'm sure, we're only being judged by Tom, let's be honest. So, we're all in at this point. Let's do it.
Well, yes. So why not start? So I suppose to jump off really, and please feel free to kind of sort of reveal or as much as or as little as you want. And I'm fully expecting listeners to get involved in this as well, because you're not just going to leave us here revealing our woes. I feel like this is everybody needs to be involved this evening. This is a form of catharsis, a form of sort of laughter therapy, if you like. So
it's very much a group session.
Yes, absolutely. I feel like we need to definitely share and share alike, as they say. So in a sort of brief summary, how is it going in terms of your dating life generally at the moment?
How's it going? Well, I think most relatives tend to ask me that when they see me. And generally the answer is, oh, no, I'm fine. Yes, it's well, the pool is dry, isn't it? Let's be honest. There's not a lot out there at the moment, it feels. I know we were talking earlier a little bit about some very vague specifications, and I've never considered myself to be a fussy person particularly. I have very few criteria, and that is that because I'm 5'8", so I have a 5'10" sort of limit on the height thing as a minimum, and I like a rugby build, beard optional. That's either way. That's basically my criteria. And unfortunately, there isn't normally a search button for those things. You have to be a bit more sort of generic, or whatever it might be. But no, yes. It's not going great. I'm pretty sure that I've tried everything. I've literally tried everything. My mother has tried everything, including setting me up with various young farmers, etc.
Blimey.
Yeah, great, really helpful, lovely. Especially when they're people you babysat, or you grew up with.
Oh, no.
And their older sister was in your year at school, or it's awful.
Yeah.
You?
Well, I mean, as I said to you earlier when we chatted on the phone, the whole reason the show is coming into beautiful existence this evening is thanks to Mr. and Mrs. Neuburger, who I don't know if they're listening this evening, but I'm sure they will listen back and very much enjoy the fact that they brought this into existence. So they, as you heard in the intro, are very much obsessed with my dating life, and they're actually coming out to visit me in September. And in one of my stroppier moments, I did say to them, when I was sort of a little bit irritated the other day, I did say, if this is just going to be the sole subject of our conversations when you're out here, then don't bother coming. And
strong. It's a strong opener. Like it.
And needless to say that we've since calmed down and everything's fine. But yes, I think partly because, I mean, I hope you don't mind me saying that we're both women in our 30s. I won't say where we are in that age bracket, but we're both there. It becomes perhaps even more of an obsession, regardless of whether you are a teacher or not. It's that kind of, well, you know, I mean, I've had things from the clocks ticking to, you know, don't you want to be with somebody, to you know, marry a rich man, darling, type of thing, which yes. I sincerely hope was a joke.
But it's an added bonus. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, you know, again, in terms of the criteria, it's I take it or leave it.
Well, yes, just I mean, I suppose you almost have to decide which factor is more important, or which particular criteria is more important.
Exactly. Yeah.
But to make this kind of more specific to us teachers, I suppose, I mean, I certainly as a teacher have found it very hard to date. I mean, why, in your mind, why do you think it is that we as teachers in particular, and it's not just us as a profession, so to those of you out there who may be listening who are of other professions, I'm sure you have your own difficulties too, but we are focusing on us teachers here on Teachers Talk Radio because we get to do that. So why is it, do you think, that for us teachers in particular, it's perhaps more of a minefield than usual?
I think, I mean, we you know, teachers spend their whole lives around a timetable, let's be honest. So, you know, you almost, it's like when you get home at the weekend and you can't hear a bell anymore and you suddenly think, oh God, I've no idea what time it is. Am I allowed a break? You know, all these sorts of things. And certainly from my own experience being a PE teacher, you know, I'm working at least 6 days a week normally, often quite late. And it's just the last thing you think about when you get home. Other than, oh, you know, I wish I'd met somebody or that sort of thing. You don't really, I think, when I was saying to you earlier, it's very easy to sort of sit down and start swiping through all these dating apps, etc. But after about 10 minutes, you realise that actually you're absolutely knackered anyway. You know, take yourself off to bed, ready to do it the next day. And I think unless you are very fortunate, I know some friends of mine who've met people at work, you're very much sort of stuck in that rut. But then you get to holiday and you either spend 2 weeks trying to unwind and wake up at a normal hour and that sort of thing, and then it's gone again, or you know, you go off on holiday and you just go and, you know, see people you haven't seen for months and that sort of thing.
Absolutely. And I mean, I certainly echo your feeling. The last thing I want to do at the end of a long working day is go home, shower, change, and think, right, how can I present myself as an interesting, functional adult to a complete stranger? I mean, first dates are usually interviews with, well, let's face it, alcohol, if we're going to be honest. And there is something a little bit kind of, oh gosh, really? At the end of a school day, that you just don't. And then the weekends, you know, they go so quickly. You almost don't want to interrupt your enjoyment and your free time by going on a date. But
I think also, as a teacher, you do go very much into interview mode on a date because you're quite efficient. So you can find yourself asking questions that perhaps are more sort of date 2 or 3, just because you haven't really got time to faff about. And I think, you know, the older you get as well, you sort of think, you know, this is all well and good, but I've got my circle of friends. I'm looking very much for X, Y, and Z, and that's quite tricky to sort of balance that and not put somebody off straight away after the, you know, the first half pint, whatever it might be.
Do you find that you have a sort of a set list of questions sort of in your head before you go, or is it something that
I think you try really hard not to, don't you? You have the whole, you know, everyone's different, you know, give everyone a chance, they're all different people, blah 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 blah. But you know, bearing in mind, you know, I'm somebody who has been told to apply for Married at First Sight at this point. It's
wow.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You know, I mean, they're supportive. What can I say, my friends? But you know, the fact they need something to watch during their own holidays is neither here nor there, clearly. But no, I it's very difficult. As I say, I mean, I'm happy to say I'm 37 and I am very much looking to, find the one, as it were, for the rest of the adventure of life, and have children and settle down and do all those things. And a lot of people actually, regardless of whether they're teachers or not, but certainly men seem to have either had their children and done that, or made a conscious decision that that's not what they want. Never mind, whether they're a teacher or not. So it's tricky. It's not easy. I don't think in any sort of any part of life, any area of life, and I think particularly with a 2-year pandemic behind us, I think actually it's probably a really good time to be honest about what you want, because life is actually quite short.
Yes, and you're please know, Sabaya. I think yes, you can see that, still young. So that's a nice comment. And I think that was directed at you, not at me.
I'm going to put it out there that you are younger than me, so you pipe down, Missy.
Not that much though, but
it counts.
Yeah, I mean, we do sort of get. I think women tend to obsess more about age than men do, but that's a whole other subject matter. And honestly, I think that, as you say, with the pandemic, it's changed a lot of people's view about what they want and what they have time for as well, and what they're willing to put up with.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we were talking a bit about red flags earlier, weren't we? And how it's very easy to just ignore red flags in any relationship, as I say, and you think, well, it's fine, it's very minor really. When I look at the list of pros and cons, I don't want to do a Ross and Rachel scenario, but you do kind of come up with exactly what I mean at that point. But you do, you come up with a bit of a list of pros and cons, and if the cons are really, really listed and heavy, then maybe do something about it. But if it's just a tiny thing at the time, you tend to overlook it, and obviously then those things sometimes become the big things.
And I mean, I suppose as well with being a teacher, I don't know if you find this, but I've certainly read stories, and people have shared stories on Twitter this week. There seems to be this has definitely happened to me, and I don't know if it's happened to you, and it might be we might be getting into story time here, which I'm very excited about. People's obsession, and this seems to be, I don't know of any other profession really where this happens, where people I date, and it's not all people I date, I have to say, this has not happened a lot, but occasionally you get someone who seems to want to tell you how to do your job, and wants to tell you exactly what they think about how the education system and what teaching should be, and the length of the holidays, and etc. And I just wonder if you've ever had that kind of experience.
I think probably every teacher has, whether it's a date type scenario, or even just a friend making a comment, oh, you're on holiday again. that's a good one, I think. Yeah, I mean, I've been on a lot of dates, I can't lie, and not all bad, let's be honest. I've had relationships, even, I've put it out there. I've actually had some grown-up relationships, but yeah, you do quite often have the whole, what are you going to do with your time off? That's a good question. And I sort of think, whatever I like, frankly, I've earned it. But of course, to say that then comes across as quite abrupt. So, it's almost like you have to have plans suddenly for all the time off that you have, and you have to have booked a holiday, and even though it's 5 times more expensive than any other time of the year, and all that sort of thing. There's a sort of expectation that you've already planned to fill that time, because you've had so much time to procrastinate about it. And I mean, half the time, I'm sure, like several other teachers, you get to the holiday and you just think, oh my God, right, okay, I'm going to sleep for 2 weeks. And get back into some sort of routine, and I say I've got a little dog, maybe possibly take her for walks during the day, all those nice things that you miss out on. So yes, but no, certainly in terms of dating, I have dated a few people who have been less than complimentary, I think, about the profession, depending on the current education secretary, etc. But that's another discussion, I'm sure.
Well, I mean, in terms of the exam result debacle, that's probably an episode in itself. I don't know if anybody's covered that or wants to, but
Anybody want to?
Any takers on that one?
Anyone?
Yeah.
No.
That's probably an occasion where I'm glad I'm a primary teacher and I don't have to really delve into that. But I mean, it sounds like what you're saying is that there's almost a need when faced with these dating scenarios where people are saying to us, or whoever we happen to be dating are saying, oh, well, how are you spending your time, or what, do you think you deserve this much holiday? It's almost like becomes a justification exercise where you think, hang on, I'm having to defend my profession here, and I don't even, I don't know you from a hole in the ground.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's the thing. You've just, as you've just said, you end up defending the entire profession. It's not just, regardless of what work you do, etc. It's a very difficult one. I mean, I know there are very much two sides. I think there are those who obviously think teachers get too much holidays, etc., and have all the time in the world. And when it comes to things like dating, how could you possibly not have time to do that? You have loads of time. But then I think on the other side, there are those who, a colleague of mine actually, he came into the profession very late, and I remember him sitting down one day. I used to do ISTIP regional conferences, which is the Independent Schools Teacher Induction Panel, and organise those regionally. And he came very kindly and did a session for me on how to use your holidays. And I can remember sitting there listening to him talking, thinking, yeah, I really do need to go and do a climbing course or become a voluntary paramedic, or all these things. It was really inspirational. And then, as I say, you get there and you just suddenly think, I'm exhausted. And he made the very good point that actually, in terms of teacher's salary, I think quite often we forget that because our salary is over 12 months, it's what you actually earn obviously during term time, you have to wait for in the holidays. So that's an interesting scenario, because there's not many other professions where you effectively have to wait for your salary. It's presented on a monthly basis, when actually, if you had a nice lump sum at the end of July, we'd probably all say go and do these holidays, or not worry about certain things as much as perhaps we do.
Oh gosh, that's the thought. I mean, I often, again, this is I can almost hear my mum saying to me, it'd be burning a hole in your pockets, if you had it all in one go. And because we in Portugal, we're very fortunate in that we get a 14-month pay cycle, and so there's bonuses that happen twice a year, so that is quite nice. So I do have to try and not get too excited about that. But well, it's treated like a bonus, but it's still part of your overall pay. But we end up calling it a bonus because that's kind of what it looks like. And certainly when that turns up at Christmas and in the summer, it's quite a nice little surprise, shall we say? I feel. Go on.
No, carry on.
I was going to say. Oh, don't say that. My head will get too big. No, what were you going to say? Go on, go ahead.
No, I was going to say just that obviously we get paid early at Christmas, and that's always exciting. And then you realise sort of mid-January just how poor you are.
Yes.
And you're sort of desperately clawing towards February. Always a challenge.
Oh, definitely.
And always a surprise every year.
Yeah, and yet we never learn. But anyway, we are digressing slightly. I've had a question from Megan, which actually feeds in nicely to one of the questions that I was also going to ask. But I think what I'll do is I will draw breath for a couple of minutes and play the news, and then I'm going to ask you Megan's question. I'm going to ask it to you now, and then give you a few minutes to think about your answer. So she says, do you ever get teacher-themed chat-up lines on the apps? So we'll come back to your answers after the news, but I'm sure they're going to be some good ones.
This is Teachers Talk Radio, and this is Teachers Talk Radio News.
This is your latest Teachers Talk Radio News with Gail Glenn. In England, a new study carried out by the Mayor of London's office has discovered that more than 3 million children attend schools in areas with toxic air pollution. It has also highlighted that 99% of Londoners live on streets which have shown dangerous air quality, and are 4 times more likely to attend schools in areas with pollution levels above World Health Organization limits. A form of particulate air pollution, which is produced by vehicles, industry, and by burning wood and coal, has been found to be of significant danger. PM 2.5 has been found to be prevalent in schools attended by 3.1 million children. Research has shown that children in the most polluted areas had on average 5% less lung capacity, and that those exposed to the worst air pollution are more likely to be deprived Londoners and from Black, Asian and minority ethnic communities. The Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, said, "I'm doing everything in my power to stop young Londoners breathing air so filthy that it damages their lungs and causes thousands of premature deaths every year. This is why I'm expanding the ultra-low emission zone later this year. I want to make sure all London meets the World Health Organization limits for particulate matter. But I can't do it alone, and I want to work with government to achieve this goal." He added, "We can't sleepwalk from the health crisis of COVID back into complacency over the major impact of toxic air on everyone's health." In Scotland, the government has been accused of desperation for announcing talks with local authorities to deliver laptops and tablets to every school pupil. The Scottish Conservative education spokesman, Oliver Mundell, said, "Nicola Sturgeon made a huge song and dance about promising free laptops and devices to pupils during the election. It now appears these plans have barely got off the starting line." The SNP left thousands of pupils without access to devices during remote learning, but now has the cheek to pat themselves on the back for merely entering discussions with councils. Miss Somerville said, "Every child has the right to an education, and we believe that means an education supported and enhanced by technology. This is a vital aspect of an education system in the digital age, which was clearly demonstrated by the pandemic. This is a hugely ambitious programme of work that will build on efforts to tackle digital inclusion during the pandemic. These early talks with Scottish councils are a positive step towards delivering this commitment." This has been your daily education news briefing.
And we are back. So in that time, just as the news was on, I've had some, I don't know if you can see them too,
I can
some
see them,
wonderful
yes,
responses for teacher chat up lines. So Megan G said she was once greeted with, "I don't have my PGCE, but I could teach you a thing or two."
That's horrendous. That's horrendous.
Oh, I knew this was going to be a laugh. Oh, blimey. And then HB History, so that's Tom who did his lovely show on Saturday. "I was once told history teachers should be good at dates."
Oh dear.
Slow clap for that
gosh. Oh dearie me. Oh, there must be more though. I'd love to know.
Yes,
what people have
we
had.
need more. We need more people. Please keep sending them in, because these are absolute, well, I say gold in the best and the worst way. So, M West, hit me with one of yours then.
Yeah, no, it's funny. I was reading these and I was like, I don't think I've really ever had those. I tend to get, "Oh, because you're a PE teacher, you must be fit," those things, which is just okay. Why? Okay, yeah, fine. Right. Thinking, I think I was saying to you earlier, gosh, I mean, the last time I went for a run was a while ago. But yeah, no, I don't tend to get teacher-based chat up lines. I mean, we sort of briefly mentioned earlier about certain expectations, I think, of you as a teacher, and assuming that you're perhaps quite a dominant person, or that you've got certain roles that you wouldn't mind being at certain times and that sort of thing, and you just think, why? Why? It's Yeah, I think there are certain expectations. Let's leave it at that for now.
Oh, goodness me. Oh, so what?
Yeah, Megan's got it.
She has, and she's used a word that actually I've got written down in front of me, which is it's a very fetish profession, and weirdly so. And actually, I've got the word fetishize. I can't even say it. Fetishization written here, and I think sort of what I mean by that, and I know Megan, I don't know if you mean sort of a similar thing to me, is that I've often had certainly on apps, and I don't think it's actually ever happened in person. But on apps I've had so you're a teacher, are you going to tell me off? And I won't even go any further. You can imagine kind of what that descends into, but this is a classy show, so we're not going to, we are professionals after all, and it's I don't need to go any further there. I think that
yeah, I think it's all clear. Okay, it's a family show. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, very much a family show. But it just seems sort of disappointing in a way that, yeah, I mean, I've had someone insist on calling me Miss on a date. No, that's weird. No, I mean, we're just entering very, I have a great colleague, Alice, and whenever she doesn't like something, she goes, and that to me is just an,
I think there are laws against that sort of thing as well. You know, it's you know, you've got to be careful there. You don't want someone calling you Miss on a date and someone overhearing it and thinking, hang on, you've got to be a bit careful there.
I've just actually seen a response on Twitter, which I don't think I can repeat on air, so I'm going to leave that one. It's so those of you who are on Twitter, if you want to go and have a look at Phil Clark's response, you are free to do so. But I feel I may get in trouble should I repeat that. So I feel. This is, I mean, I always knew that this was going to be good fun this evening, but I also am very conscious of the fact that there are boundaries in place of things we can say here on Teachers Talk Radio. I think we have to keep it above board to, you know.
I think we need a safe word, please. That's what we need.
Something like that. I don't know. But I can't imagine. I mean, maybe it does happen to people like doctors, nurses, paramedics. Maybe
it must do,
but I don't understand why. I mean, is it disrespectful, or is it the people, some people are just disrespectful, or do they think they're being funny? I don't know.
It's almost a sort of sense of entitlement, isn't it? It's like, hooray, I found a teacher, I can now fulfill this fantasy.
Yes.
No, it's very yeah. It's strange, but you know, again, as we said, there are some very strange people out there as well. So you know, trying to avoid those while you're sifting through the, let's say, very shallow pool of dating potential. It's tricky.
I mean, I think that there must be nice ones. Well, there are nice ones out there. I mean, whether we want to believe it or not, I think we have to, because otherwise we go into a level of cynicism that maybe isn't healthy. But I don't know.
We end up adopting lots of cats, I think, if we don't keep the faith somewhere.
Well, I think, is it Flo, your dog's name, did you say?
She is, yeah.
I don't. Yeah. Would she be particularly amused if a cat turned up?
To be perfectly honest, I think she'd be completely indifferent. She's quite a funny little personality, Flo. I was saying to you earlier, I've just become an auntie. Don't clap, it's fine. And my brother, he lives in a first floor flat, and the lady who lives in the flat below him has a cat. And we went up there the other day, and Flo actually walked past the cat, completely didn't bat an eyelid, did not even, I don't think, see the cat, which was quite amusing to all concerned, who were, you know, slightly worried he wouldn't be able to get in the building. But yeah, no, I don't think cats are her thing, really. I'm not sure she's bothered.
Oh, well, I mean, I haven't sort of descended into cat territory. I mean, I do pet sit for friends of mine, and I don't know if it's, well, certainly when dog sitting last week, it was so my friend and her lovely, delightful boyfriend could go away together. And I thought, oh gosh, if they asked me, because I'm single, and is that why? Oh, and I sort of had a bit of a, well, yes, because clearly I have no life, and teaching is my entire world. Oh, I don't know. I do think, though, people do get that impression as well, in that we kind of, it's almost, it's bizarre because on the one hand, I've had people think, oh, well, you know, you finish at 3 o'clock, you must have all the free time in the world. That old chestnut. But then also you get, oh, well, you know, you must be busy, therefore, you know, or you're a teacher, therefore you have absolutely no life.
Yeah, I think I was just reading that little quote there about, do you have enough time to date properly? And it's really interesting because you think, well, I think you don't have time in the sense of you're not perhaps as tolerant. So during the holidays, I know that I would sort of drag on a conversation that was perhaps a bit limp a lot longer than I would during term time. Just, you know, and it might be that this person's absolutely perfect and wonderful, but just a bit shy or whatever it might be, or perhaps doesn't come across very well. And I'm my patience is much thinner during term time.
I think, yes. I mean, I certainly I can't recall when I last went on a date in term time. I'm trying to think, because there are so many other things to be doing, and then I get the question, well, you know, you could make time, and I think, well, I suppose if I wanted to that badly, or if any of us wanted to that badly, we could, and there are ways and means of doing that, and there are all these, as we've discussed quite openly, there are all these channels via which we can date or whatever. But it just is, and I definitely have spent evenings where I'm shattered and I'll sort of start idly swiping, and then you match with somebody and it's kind of, oh, do I want to really? I don't know. But then it's of course the kind of slight anxiety. Well, was he the one?
Exactly. What if I've missed out? Oh no, I'm my own worst enemy. Nightmare. Here we go. Absolutely. No, I know exactly what you mean. Like I was saying to you earlier about how, you know, you swipe and it says you've just missed a match, and you're thinking, oh no, maybe I didn't pay that person enough attention. I didn't actually read their. Oh no, I've judged someone. What if? I'm being told by an algorithm that I've missed the love of my life. This is horrendous. What if it's true?
One of my other teaching colleagues, Melissa, she gets very upset periodically because she's in the same, she won't mind me saying this, she's in the same age bracket as us, as we've discussed. And she said to me, I think if I leave Tinder alone for a while, or I leave my dating apps alone for a while, I'm fairly sure that the algorithm decides it doesn't like me. So it gives me the kind of the barrel scrapings. And when I log back in, it punishes me by giving me sort of what's left. And I said to her, I'm fairly sure that's not how it works. But
I'm kind of with her a bit now at this point. I'm thinking, oh, is that what's happening? Maybe she's onto something there. Maybe.
Oh, George Bream, my guest from last week, has just piped in saying, I'm so glad I don't have to deal with dating apps. It sounds horrific. Oh, hello, Flo.
Oh, that's Flo, yeah. There we go.
She's clearly voicing her disapproval at use of dating apps. We agree, Flo, we agree. It's not for the faint-hearted. Definitely not for the faint-hearted.
It's really not.
Actually, Nathan, one of the other hosts, has just tweeted saying that he burst out laughing, nearly dropping eggs at listening to us chatting away here. So we're amusing everybody, which is great. Well, yes, I mean, you know, it's. I'm glad that somebody's getting a laugh out of this.
There's a line somewhere about you've got to break a few eggs, isn't there? We could throw that in. We could use that as a pitch line, I think. So thank you for that.
Maybe that's the tagline I should use for the show. I'm slightly concerned, though, that after this one, I'm never going to be asked to do a show again. But if nothing else, I have had, well, this has been very entertaining thus far. So I suppose my next question, before we go off on another wonder, I often feel actually that my brain is a bit like a balloon when I do things like this, and it sort of wanders off, and you have to kind of grab the string and go, no, come back. I'm focusing on something here. I need to concentrate on what I'm doing. So we've talked about, I suppose, the fact that a lot of people don't seem to kind of understand what we do. The people that we try and date, they either try and fetishize us, or they try and kind of, whether for, you know, whether they do it deliberately or not, sort of put their foot in it comment wise. So does that mean that we then really have no choice but to date our fellow teachers? Is that really what we need to do? I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. And again, I should caveat what I'm saying here before I get into big trouble, because I did have some lovely, lovely stories sent to me on Twitter from fellow teachers about how they met their partners. Some met in school, some met out of school, some have vowed, never to work in the same school. And so there are beautiful stories that go with this, and, of teachers dating other teachers and not. And I think that, well, I don't know. What do you think about dating a fellow teacher? Would you go there?
Yeah, I mean, why not? It's going to, they say lightning will strike when it's the right person, etc. So seemingly, one hell of a hurricane that I've spent my life in, but never mind. But no, I think, if your eyes meet over the coffee urn, then why not? But I think it's, it's something you're obviously very both aware of. I have to say, I think certainly within, and again, my experience obviously in PE and PE departments, which are notoriously cliquey, certainly younger colleagues, you tend to have, the NQT who ends up, hooking up with a PGCE student and, all those sorts of things, which is wonderful for them. But I certainly think, as it was sort of hinted at, the older you get, I think the more, dare I say, the less totty there is in the staff room, let's be honest. I think we've all been in staff rooms and we've had a little look around and just thought, what if I'm here for like 10 years? Nobody comes in, we've all done it, and there might be that lovely couple who's, they're perhaps, one's a science and one's head of maths or something, and they're wonderful, and they're going to go off and run their own school eventually, and off into the sunset, happy days. But I think yeah, I can certainly think of some conferences, for example, and I've been to some PE conferences, and let's face it, I'm first to stereotype that there are some very attractive male PE teachers out there. And the first thing you do obviously is scan the room and think about where you might want to sit, and it's not always a lot of options. It's really not.
No. I mean, I remember when I started at my current school that shall remain nameless for now. I remember thinking that my upper key stage 2 lead was rather good looking. Quickly found out that he was very happily married, and so that died a death very, very quickly, because of course you have to be careful in these environments. You have to make sure that if you are going to go there, and I'm sure there are horror stories that people can tell, but we've also had, we've had more comments. Someone saying they draw the line at the same, dating someone who teaches the same subject. I suppose, I don't know. It depends if you're in the same school or not.
I think it depends how sort of, for example, maths, obviously all lessons are timetabled at the same time, and that sort of thing. I think it depends if you're always going to be together, then that's quite intense, I would think.
One of our trainees was half of an EduDate success story. Was being an important word. Outing somebody there. Well, maybe let's
we'll let Tom comment on that.
Yeah, we'll leave that. Oh no, Megan, are you saying that was you? Tom had me on Channel 5 for EduDate, and I've since moved countries. The two may or may not be related. I feel. Oh gosh.
Oh, that's amazing.
Oh, Megan, you have been brilliant this evening. Oh, honestly. Oh, dearie me. But I think it's difficult either way. I mean, I have never dated a fellow teacher, and I've never really given it much thought. But oh goodness me, I mean, I don't know what I would do there. But
I would say I've certainly given it some thought, but I've never actually been there.
I don't think I've really been confronted with any decent options. I mean, there were a few nice ones on EduDate, but for whatever reason, distance or just not compatible, it was wasn't meant to be.
I think it's prudent to say, actually, just before you do a break, that EduDate has been fantastic.
Oh, it has.
It's been really, really good fun, and I've had some very random, strange dates, and I'm sure my opposite has thought that as well on numerous occasions. And yet here we are discussing singledom still.
Sorry. I think yes. I mean, I'm sure EduDate's very happy that it's getting numerous shout outs this evening. It's almost been like a sort of feature length advert for it. But I mean, with good reason. It's as we say, you know, we've both had very, very positive experiences through it. I think we should, yes, definitely go to another ad break. And then when we come back, I'm going to ask you your best and worst date story. So that's to you. And to those of you out there listening, please do send in sort of the shortened version if you can, and try and keep it relatively clean. Well, very clean, please, because we are on the radio. Right.
Every teacher loves stationery, right? Imagine getting a selection of fun, beautiful and unique stationery items designed and selected especially for teachers, delivered through your door every month. You need to check out teacherslovestationery.club.
I'm always so excited when the box arrives. It's such a treat.
My Teachers Love Stationery Club box is just a little treat to myself every month.
It's always full of delightful and surprising items, including some really good quality stationery brands like Faber-Castell and Stabilo.
And because you never know what you're going to get, it makes it even more fun and special when you get it.
It feels really great to be supporting a family business that's run by real teachers. I can't help feeling like they just know what I'm going to enjoy using stationery-wise better than I do myself.
Visit teacherslovestationery.club and enter the code TTRadio when you buy your first stationery box to save £2 today. teacherslovestationery.club.
Oh, I did it again. That advert took me by surprise because it was shorter than I thought. I need to stop falling victim to that. So, M West.
Oh goodness.
What have you got for me?
Well, okay. Oh, I hope in a way none of my friends are listening to this because they will be like, "Oh, I remember this." Okay, I will try and abridge what is quite a long story, but it's worth it. It's a good one.
Go for it.
Okay, so used to live in a ground floor flat, sort of 3 blocks, and underground car park. You know, very sort of inner city, that sort of thing. And was outside my flat one day doing a little bit of gardening, and this absolutely gorgeous man who almost looks a little bit like Gavin Henson, but slightly less greasy. That's a rugby player, in case you're not sure who that is.
So that's Charlotte Church's ex.
Yeah, that is indeed. Yes, very good, Gordon.
Useless knowledge. Sorry,
he was walking past, and you know, I just happened to notice an attractive man. That was about it, and you know, promptly dived into a flower pot. And he leaned over the wall and he said, "Oh, hi, I live in the block just there. I'm just going to pop to the shop. Do you want anything?" And I thought that's a bit odd. No, I don't. Like, I can't think of anything right now. No, I'm fine, thank you. You know, a bit sort of flustered. He's like, "Oh, okay, you know, I've seen a bit," and off he goes. I'm thinking that was weird. You know, stranger danger. Should I ring my mum? Oh my god, what happened? Anyway, 10 minutes later, he comes back, leans over the wall and says, "Oh, I bought you a flake." Now, obviously, that is code, as we all know. A flake is a very particular chocolate. If anyone saw the original flake adverts, you would all know. So I'm thinking now, okay, I've got a choice. I can't just go, "I don't want your flake. That's awful." So I took the flake, and he then said, "I'd better go because my girlfriend's cooking dinner." And I'm just thinking, what? You know, now it's a dirty flake. Now I feel it's tainted. I feel like I've been abused, and I haven't even left my house. This is right, fine. Anyway, ignore it. Put flake in fridge. It will sit there for 6 months. Not a problem. About 2 weeks later, I went down to my car, and there was a note on it. Now, my car was always parked between a parking space and the wall, so very limited. If someone were to write on said note, "Hi, I park next to you," with an arrow to indicate which side, and a phone number. "I'm the guy who bought you the flake. I've broken up with my girlfriend. Do you fancy a drink?" "Well, what do you do?" I'm like, "Oh God, now he knows what car I've got as well as where I live. This is all getting a bit creepy." Okay, sod it, why not? And I would add that I was about 24 at this point, so you know, carefree and living it up. Anyway, got chatting, arranged that we were going to go for this drink. He was going to come pick me up, as it were. Turns up at my door. I open the door, and my heart just sank. And I'd forgotten that because my flat is a ground floor flat, it's obviously a little bit lower than the pavement. And this Adonis that I thought promptly shrank to about 5'4", I suppose, in front of me. And bless him, and he dressed up and he was really smart looking. And you just think, oh no, I've got to go on the date. You've got to go on the date, haven't you? You're committed. You can't. I mean, there's nothing in that moment. There's nothing you can do. Anyway, we go on the date. The date is fine. It's perfectly lovely. He takes me to sushi, which is a slightly odd choice, I think, for a first date, but fine, we'll do that. Now this is the climax of the story. So brace yourselves. Pour yourselves a glass of wine. Sit still. So he knows where I live. I know where he lives. We decide that we're going to walk back because it's a beautiful moonlit evening. Fine. And I'm thinking, right, I have to play this very carefully now because this is not going anywhere, and he needs to know that. So we're walking back and people have stopped and they're looking up at the moon, and it's a full moon, isn't it beautiful? And I'm thinking, oh no, he's going to try and, oh, okay, brace yourself. And rather than going in for like a kiss or something that you might expect might be normal in that situation on a date, he decides to tell me that he has prosthetic fangs at home.
Right.
And I'm completely torn. I'm staring at the moon thinking, I can't look at this person. He knows where I live. He knows which cars I drive. The flake thing was the red flag already. I get that. He's now telling me he has fangs. And it's not as if I can say, do you know what? I'm going to get a taxi because we're both going to the same place. What do you do? Answers on a postcard. What would you do in that situation?
Well, Megan wants to know if you had garlic at dinner.
Well, I would say it was sushi, so there wasn't really garlic that I remember.
No.
The actual date was fine, but oh gosh, a bit weird. So I had to consciously creep in and out of my flat for about the next 18 months until he moved, make sure he didn't see me.
Oh goodness!
And scan the garden for flakes on regular occasion.
But how did it end? Did you just run away, or what happened? I'm intrigued.
I went very quiet, which I'm not normally. Again, I think it's a teacher confidence thing. I'm quite good sometimes at rabbiting on, as you can tell. And I just went absolutely stony quiet. And I thought, I will give off no indication of what I'm thinking here at all. I'll just go a little bit cold. So his things like, should we walk home? Should we get a taxi? Ended up being yes, now, yes, rather than, engaging in any further conversation. Good night. Click of the door. Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm actually speechless.
Yeah. I mean, I was saying to you, I've met a guy in a traffic jam before on the M3. Traffic stationary. Guy gets out of the car in front. I'm thinking, he seems all right. I'll get out too. Let's chat. Let's make it happen. Why not? What a story. And really good. Arranged to go out for dinner. And I'm pretty sure it's not the same person who turned up for the date. I can't really confirm it, but I'm pretty sure in the back of my mind it's not the same person. So we're having our date, and he tells me he's allergic to fish. So obviously I decide, right, well, I'll order the fish pie, and then he won't come near me, will he? Oh god.
But the thing is, I think that, as soon as you said traffic jam, I sort of thought, well, anyone who says teachers don't make time to find dates clearly has not met you. So, because, talk about seizing the moment there. Clearly this is where the rest of us are going wrong. So single teachers out there, whenever you think you don't have time on your commute to work or back from work or any time for that matter, keep your eyes peeled because you never know.
You never know. It might be me waiting in a traffic jam to pounce on you. Oh my goodness.
But maybe that's it. Maybe, we should be paying more attention when we go to the supermarket or when I don't know.
I think I go between having real confidence where I just think, why not? At some point, if you don't ask, you don't know, to other situations where I think, oh my God, there's no one on earth that will actually like me. I can't even maintain eye contact. I have to go a different aisle in the supermarket because it's just too embarrassing. So I don't know. I think there's I mean, I've done the whole sitting in coffee shops reading a book, or at least pretending to read a book. We've all done that. Surely, that's not just me, is it? Help! Anyone else? No, just me. And yeah, I think it's I don't go clubbing anymore. I'm not cool enough to go out on a Saturday night and bump into people like what used to be really easy to do.
Gosh, who has the energy for that as a teacher on a weekend? I mean,
exactly. Well, I
can't think of anything worse.
When I started teaching, I remember very vividly, my timetable on a Friday was one lesson, and it was in the afternoon, and it was a swimming lesson. So Thursday nights for me, my then housemate and I would go out every Thursday night, crawl into work on a Friday, just eat toast basically all morning, do the one lesson, and then get through it, and it's fine. But now, I'm a grown up and I actually have responsibilities like a proper timetable. We just can't do it.
Oh no. I used to have a horrendous commute to work. I used to work in Gillingham in North Kent, which was about an hour's drive to and from. And I remember getting to Friday nights, and I would drive home on occasion. I mean, part of the reason I actually eventually left the job was because I was falling asleep at the wheel on the way home, which is not a good thing to admit. But I'd get home, I'd get into bed, and I'd have a 3-hour nap.
Yeah.
The thought of kind of getting dressed up to go clubbing, forget it.
Yeah, I know, exactly. And I think when, as we were saying a bit about apps and things, you scroll through, and after 10 minutes, you're just bored anyway. And you haven't met anybody that you want to chat with. So you just think, oh, well, I'll have a look tomorrow. It'll still be there tomorrow. It'll be the same situation.
May the algorithm forever be in your favour.
That should definitely be a tagline somewhere.
I think so. Well, George Bream again has just said traffic jam dating is the opposite to speed dating. Well, maybe
you're onto something.
I've been speed dating. That's something I've definitely tried. And weirdly, I turned up to this event, and I was the only girl at that point. And what was weird is that people were mingling beforehand, which I didn't think was that the point. I don't know. Well, and so I think it was women stayed seated and men moved, and it was great fun, don't get me wrong, but again, I think some people were really into the fact that I was a teacher in a positive way, and then other people were just kind of, oh gosh, no, you couldn't possibly be for me. And we're quite open about that fact as well. You think, oh, okay, I mean, I know we've only got 5 minutes or whatever it is, but try and sugarcoat it a little bit. I mean, maybe I've just gone, maybe I'm just too soft. I don't
at least
know.
Be nice to me.
Well, that's it. I think maybe I've just kind of gone I honestly don't know how I feel about it anymore. And I think, I mean, if nothing else, I've learned this evening that I definitely need to be seizing more opportunities. And you have definitely suggested to me that do not waste time, because every situation is an opportunity. And I think that definitely has to be our parting message, if nothing else today, that you really truly can get in any situation, possibly find your future love interest,
or your vampire,
or your vampire. Yes. I mean, I suppose, have there been any positive stories? I mean, have there been any situations?
What makes you think that was negative?
Not negative, and maybe just not the one. I mean, I definitely on Twitter have had some good responses from people who have been very, very fortunate, and I think have either met at work or have either been, I don't know, in extracurricular sort of things that they do. I say extracurricular, we're not pupils, are we? But things that they do outside of school. And I suppose it's, there are situations that you can put yourself in where you do meet people, even if it's not people to date. So maybe that's also the way forward as well.
I'm just reading Megan's comments. That's amazing. I think you have to be open to the situation. I think that's the thing. It's very easy to not see opportunities in things, and I think we need to be open to the fact that, as they say, lightning will strike. You could meet somebody anywhere. I'm just not quite sure where else there is at the moment.
No, but I think this evening we have definitely had a light-hearted approach to this. I don't feel any worse than when I started, and I hope that you don't.
No, that's good. That's good. Well, that's the aim. I think you have to have fun with it, because apart from the else, it's really important to share your experiences, to not constantly let it get you down in any way, and just think oh my gosh, I'm never going to meet someone. I keep meeting all these random people, and I've got all these stories. And as I was saying, many friends of mine have said, oh, you should write a book. And you kind of think, I don't want to write a book. I want to find someone that I really like.
Well,
anyway.
Yeah. I mean, I remember you saying to me, but before we did this show this evening, to stop using your photo as my promotions to this show, because I used a lot of for those of you who've seen them on Twitter, I think I've run out of Bridget Jones gifs and memes now. So you said to me, no, stop using my personal photo, and I thought, well, surely I identify with Bridget Jones more than anybody, and I think you were willing to fight me on that one.
Oh no, totally. Well, as I say, there's a fantastic gif somewhere of a group of skeletons sitting around a kitchen table, and it says, my family waiting for me to announce I have a boyfriend. Okay, my mother enjoys sending me that one on occasion. Yeah, all right, I understand, I get it. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So, final question for you this evening, and then I will release you to probably a much needed glass of wine. Is from Mr. Rogers, who has said, "What is the most important out of these three?" I feel we're going to get lured into a trap here.
Yeah, this is a trap question.
Personality, attraction, compatibility. So values. And you have to rank them. Oh goodness me,
that's tough. That's a bit of a springer, that one. Right. Well, I mean, there has to be some sort of initial attraction. Definitely, you have to. And as I say, for me, it's basically height. That's my thing. I like to look up when I kiss. I'm not shy. I'll put it out there. That's what I want.
Fair play.
And yeah, well, it's got to be said. But I think if, in terms of, I think that's a very, I mean, I'm talking sort of 10 seconds in terms of that attraction. That's not a long-term attraction. So I'm going to play you back at your own game there. I see your attraction and I raise you. Compatibility, yeah, absolutely. I think, that's going to be very important, because obviously, you have to have similar values or possibly similar backgrounds or even beliefs, etc. sometimes. But likewise, opposites attract. So that's a tricky one. And personality, well, obviously they've got to be as amusing as I am, and that's quite tricky. So I'm going to go, I don't know. What do you think, Lucy? What's your...
Well, I'm quite sort of, the older I've gotten, the more realistic and open I've become sort of about kind of what order things like this fall in. And I think initial attraction is important. I think that initial spark has to be there. And I think anyone who says, and I do stick by this, and I'll probably get shouted at for this, but I think anyone else who says otherwise is lying to you and to themselves.
Yeah.
So yes, I think attraction, at least initially, has to come first, and then you do get to know them. There is that personality aspect. That's kind of, once you sort of, I quite like the look of you, let's get chatting. Then that personality comes through, and through that, I think you then find that compatibility. So I think that if I'm going to, really with kind of, and I think Mr. Rogers is going to make us answer this whether we like it or not. I think that would be my 1, 2, 3 for better or worse. I think it's Barbara there who said 1, attraction, 2, personality, and long-term core values. So I think that's pretty much what we've said.
That's a fairly universal thought then. That's
yeah. Mr. Rogers seems to be happy with that response. Megan, however, controversially or not, has said personality first, and then great personality can sometimes make people more attractive, which
that's also true. Yeah,
I would agree with that. But
can't make them taller though.
No, that is true. But I'm a little bit shorter than you. I'm 5'3", so I've got a little bit more of a.
You've got a deeper pool.
Yes, I mean, I do like tall men, but then I've been said sort of selfishly in the past, my friends have said to me, you can't be selfish because you are that bit shorter. You need to take the kind of 5'8", niners off our hands and leave the 6-footers for the tall ones.
You do, but clearly you haven't been doing that, which is why I'm in the situation I am. So what are you doing? Why are you not
it's
doing
all my
it?
fault. Oh, so yeah. So Megan's also saying that she's 100% with you on the height thing as well. So I feel like we could potentially dig a very, very deep hole there. So I'm just
this is not to say, by the way, that anyone under 5'8" is not a lovely person, you know, and absolutely. I think everyone's got their own one thing, perhaps, that just is a sort of deal breaker. Possibly. But
yes.
I certainly think it's that first eye glance, that first look, that first smile. I think that's definitely key. Because that's the intrigue, isn't it? That's what's going to spark your interest. You don't want someone who scowls at you the first time, you know, however good looking they may be or not. If they scowl at you, you're not going to go and pursue it, are you?
No, definitely not. And I think, again, before I did this episode, I hadn't really thought of more about long term, because dating for me has been very much about, you know, teaching is part of who I am, and I am a teacher, but that's just my job. It's my job. It doesn't, and I've talked about this before, where it doesn't define who I am. But I think long term, because that is what I do, I would need someone who ultimately can cope with the fact that, you know, large parts of my life I'm going to be at work or asleep.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I mean, my ex so we were together 4 years. We met at my best friend's wedding. It was all lovely. He was military, and again, you know, a similar sort of lifestyle to some extent to a teacher, where, you know, there would be periods where he was away, or you know, he would perhaps be on leave and sleep for the first week, you know, those sorts of things. So I think it's not limited to teachers. There are other professions out there, as we've hinted at already, that have these sort of same obstacles to overcome.
Oh, most definitely. And I think that I think it's a minefield, really, however you are, you know, whatever you do. And just absolute bonus. I've just seen another comment. Absolute bonus if the nice personality comes in a nice suit.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm with that. And I'm just going to throw this out there as well, but for my own curiosity, really. What is it with not wearing socks? What's that all about?
Oh, that's dire. I think
when did that happen?
I don't know. Who's the chap on Love Island who's just been got rid of, who seemed to have quite a thing for this?
I'm afraid I'm too refined to watch your Same Taste of programme.
What's
the not wearing socks thing? I just don't understand.
It's gross.
It's really gross.
It is. No, I'm definitely with you on that. Although I hope, it just gives you stinky feet. I quite agree. I mean, I don't know really if we've done ourselves any favours this evening. We're either going to be inundated with offers after this, or there's going to be, and I saw a brilliant GIF that someone posted earlier, just a kind of further tumbleweed. And I'm going to be sitting...
Harsh.
Yeah. Well, hopefully not. Hopefully I won't just be sitting here eating gherkins out the jar. Not that I do that regularly.
No, well, I'm sure there'll be lots of, you know, wonderful people sliding into the DMs as we speak. Can't wait.
Well, on that note, I will let you go and see if that is indeed the case. M West, you have been an absolute hero. Thank you so much for coming on here and having a laugh with me on what I hope is not my last show, but we'll see. We'll see how we go.
It might be a series coming.
Might be a series, but I don't know. Well, I know you floated the idea of a podcast with the two of us where we discuss and lament our dating lives over wine and cheese, which I think
absolutely
could be an absolute game changer. So maybe let's look into that.
Yeah, totally.
But thank you so much for being a true star, and I will hopefully be able to get you back another time to discuss something else.
Yeah, no, not at all. It's been great. Thanks for having me.
Have a lovely evening, and good luck with any future dates.
And likewise.
Bye-bye.
All right, bye.
Oh. So that was the fabulous M West discussing the very interesting world of dating, sort of as a teacher and just as a person generally. I mean, I don't know if we've learnt a huge amount, but what we have done is definitely had a laugh, and it's been absolutely glorious. Honestly, it's the most fun I've had in a while. But I feel we have to get back to slightly more sensible matters. So while I've still got a little bit of time, what I will say to you is that coming up after me this evening for her second show as well is Libby Isaac, who will be discussing whether communication can help students close the gap when revising for important exams. So I'm definitely going to be tuning in for that this evening. I don't think there's anybody coming up after her, but I'm sure I'll be corrected if I am wrong. And of course, you can listen back to this show should you wish to shortly after I go off air, and that'll be available on Podbean or Spotify. But all that remains for me to say really is thank you so much for joining me this evening. Oh, what are the conclusions before I go? I suppose I need to conclude. I don't know. I suppose my overarching conclusion from this evening would be that you really truly can meet someone anywhere. I think that Em saying that a traffic jam is where she's met somebody before is truly one of the best stories I've ever heard. I feel I'm far too hazardous a driver to attempt that. I think also just keep going with it, keep putting yourself out there, and well, about making time really. I suppose you can make time when you want to. I don't think you need to feel pressure to date when people say you should. And as Em's just popped back into the chat there to say, remember, lightning can strike at any time. I think that's the conclusion. There you go. I think it's possible, and to not be too cynical either. I think it's very easy to get into a negative headspace in terms of dating, and certainly in term time when you are tired, when you are, and even in the holidays as well, when actually all you just want to do is stuff for yourself. I think you have to, if you want to meet somebody and you want to be in the dating world, then absolutely you should do that. Also, you know, there is EduDate out there, which has been talked about an awful lot this evening. So do check that out as well. EduDate is on Twitter at EduDate. So if any teachers listening want to go and check that out, please do. I thoroughly recommend it, as does Em. So definitely check that out as well. So I think I am going to finish it there this evening. It has been so much fun yet again. Thank you so much to those of you who have contributed, who have laughed along with me. It has been so much fun. And honestly, I have not laughed like that in a long, long time. So I hope you have had as much fun as I have. And next week, I think my discussion is going to be talking about classrooms and classroom decoration. And what I want to know from you next week is, do you have a Pinterest perfect classroom? Do you think that the way you lay out and decorate your classroom is important? Do you base it on the class that you have, on the children that you have? Or do you, and this is maybe directed to more as primary teachers, do you just go for it? Just do what feels right? So I'll be interested to pick up that discussion next week. So all that remains for me to say is have a lovely evening, everybody. I am off to make myself some noodles. Make sure that you all have a lovely dinner as well. And I will see you next week. Bye-bye.
You've been listening to Teachers Talk Radio. Tune in live and listen back at ttradio.org. We look forward to hearing from you next time on Teachers Talk Radio.